going on, my friends? Welcome to Your Seat at the Table. I'm Rick, and of course, I'm still trying to learn this software program that I can run videos on. Unfortunately, I cannot seem to find a simplistic. Most of these are for professionals. Most of these programs are intended for people who really have a lot of damn time to master a program to get the most out of it. And I don't know how many. It took me a long time to get XSplit to understand how XSplit work, and so trying to understand this. One thing this doesn't appear to allow me to do is transition between things. In XSplit, I could lay out some transitions, not unlike what you would do in a presentation, you know what I'm saying? And then you would just click on, I want the opening, and then I want the main camera, I want the down view camera, and then I want the closing. See, I could just tap on the button, I could click on the virtual buttons, and it would function. I don't know how to do this. And for whatever reason, it allows me to have either camera, but it won't allow me to transition between the two cameras while we're working at it. Anyway, another side effect that I have noticed, and I'm not sure exactly what to do about it, if I can do anything about it, is how the audio, once again, in my opinion, is diminished. It's not as loud and as crisp as it ought to be. And I do not know what that is. And it sure cannot be because of the computer. So it's either got to be me or it's the software. I don't know. But I do know that I had uh, the last video I did with this laptop and setup, to upload took a lot longer to do than I would have done with the old system using a different program. So once again, I don't know if it's because it's the computer we're using, and I grant you that I do not know a whole lot about it, and I'm trying to learn it. And second would be the uh, uh, software issues itself. Anyway, that is said, we're looking at Dark Age of Man. Now, this was a game that was donated to the channel. It was given to me by Mr. Braham, and to on the idea that he would like me to review it if I wanted to, and that of course I'm not obligated to say one thing or another, good or bad or ugly in between. That said, I'll probably still post this video as a as a what do they call it? It's not paid, but it's the principle of it, you know. Anyway, Dell and his buddy got together and they created their own version of a tabletop role-playing game. And when we talk about rules light, there's a lot of talk and has been for a long time about this concept of rules light. And rules light is the less we depend on the mechanics of a game, the better. So instead of having, a core book or core rule book that's like this, you want one that's like this. So for all those all those fans of low impact crunch, low impact rules, this is game for you. There's number two about this particular game that I noticed right off. This game is quite handy. What I mean by that is everything's self-contained in here to run the mini campaign. The downside to that is, in a lot of aspects, this is actually kind of a one-off. The campaign is here. The game itself is built around the campaign settings for the sandbox. So one cannot say that this is a true open sandbox. Sorry, Dell, it's not a true open sandbox. The limitations in the game mechanics prevent that, in my opinion. From the imagination perspective, it's an open sandbox. They all are. The upside to this sort of thing is you can carry this game with you tucked away in your backpack or in your briefcase or in the glove box of your car, and you can find yourself stuck in traffic with a carload of people, and you could bang off a campaign with this. You could be playing this game really quick. Throw a couple dice in your ashtray, or assuming your car has an ashtray anymore. I suspect most of the new ones don't, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. And it's really easy to play from what I could see of it. Now, granted, I have not personally have played this game or ran this game, so I'm going to turn on the light here and let's see if we can get a little different shading going on. The downside with the light is I need it to see better, but then of course it wants to put up a glare. So they open the book. It's about 90 pages long, and you can get this on RPG Drive-Through. Pretty sure it's really cheap. I don't have a doubt that you can get it. And so we get the table of contents, Seven Truths of the Dark Age in England, character creation, derived ratings, choosing a profession, playing the Dark Age of Man, presentations, preparation, the country itself, England. So it's a knockoff of England. It's not hard. It's not hard. You can see it. No offense. You guys really, really didn't. Excuse me. You guys really did do some effort in it. No questions about it. And for me, this particular page here, most of y'all don't really care about how the page is and what's on it and things like this. What I like is this is showing me kind of what I need to do for my own game when I get to that stage when I can start publishing it. What I don't see on here now, this is probably because y'all chose the creators chose to forego it, is you don't have an ISBN number here, and you also don't have not a watermark, but Library of Congress number. So ideally, and this goes to you, Dell, and Jason and Dell, this goes to y'all. Okay, go spend your damn $100, crank open them wallets of yours, split it 50-50, whatever, and then go to Google ISBNs, and you can buy them. You can buy them as an individual number for one book, or you can buy them in sets of 10. At least that's what it was the last time I checked. It's been a while, I grant you. But this is the actual cell code. This thing here, with this information here, you purchase that. That makes this a legitimate publication. I mean, an honest to God, historically accurate publication. Rather, what I mean by historically accurate, I mean it's legitimately a legal publication, and it would be accepted. It would be entered into libraries all across the country in that manner. The second part is where you get an app. There's an application at the Congress Library of Congress. I'm probably got it wrong, but anyway, you will go to. No, it's not the Library of Congress. It's the other damn library. Anyway, they will actually review the book, and they're looking for outright plagiarism. If it passes its muster, you then get a stamp or a number that's approved by the Library of Congress, and I believe it is Library of Congress. And most novels, most commercial books, I suspect even Catalyst, if you want to dig around in the fine print stuff, you will find that they've done that with most of their stuff. It's an option. You don't have to do it, but that's just an option, just going down the road. So what we have here is a slight entering explaining how they got to where they got and why they were motivated to create a book. And so we'll go with the entry here. Dark Age of Man is a minimalist, fantastic Dark Age improvisational role-playing game. To play, you need 2 or more players, 1 12-sided die, 3 6-sided die, 1 20-sided die, some paper and pencils. 1 player acts as the presenter, while the others are the player characters. Dark Age of Man is like other role-playing games. However, our intent with DAoM is twofold. First, DAoM wants to liberate the player to create a character, to place a character in the fiction, and to inspire the player to be ambitious in creating a legend or legacy in these dark ages. Second, DAoM asks the presenter, through our simple session preparation tools and random seat charts, to be a naive narrator, presenting the single setting non-player characters in the world in an organic and natural response to characters' actions. So this is an interpretation from myself. Okay. First off, this is something I like. I do like, and yes, I do take pens to books. Y'all gave it to me. I'm gonna do what the hell I want with it. Right. So when we're going to look at this, where is it? The naive part. Yeah. Right. Liberate players' characters without right. And through a simple presentation tools to be a naive narrator. So what we're talking here, for all those people, not only who are looking for a rules light, something with very light on the rule sets, But somebody who's really heavy into the role play aspect, this lends itself to that style. So when you want to talk about the fourth dimension of role play, and there's a lot of people out there hating on this, don't hate on it, man. It's not cool. It's just the way it is. Everybody has a level of play that they want to do, and then other people want to aspire to a higher level of play or a deeper dive into their characters' interactions at the table. And that is, in essence, what role play is. And I've said this in other videos, and I get some heat from it, and I got somebody who's cheesed off at me for reasons I had no idea. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, the majority of people come to the table to play a role. They're assuming the role, be it a starship pilot, a warrior, a wizard, a Jedi. Does the list need to go on? Does the list need to go on? That is what the initial concept of what an RPG is, where you assume the role and somebody else assumes the role of somebody else. You see, I mean, it's generally speaking, when they were originally thinking, the roles were based off, and D&D specifically, were based off of character classes. But I'm getting off into a tangent. I don't want to go down there. Be a naive narrator. So if you really, really want to embrace this recent round robin of the idea of player agency and player contribution, and to with not so much diminish the role of the ubiquitous game master. And here comes Mama. I knew it would take you a minute to get up here, so Mama's going to demand a little bit of attention from us, and she's going to roll around and get in the way. And sure, as long as you stay off the laptop, we're in good shape, Mama. Yes, yes, yeah. No, don't stick your face in my mouth. I got a chalk. Yeah. So having the naive narrator, the naive GM, we have a GM then is the idea is to shepherd the environment that the players are operating in to act as the foil for those players and based on their actions and their choices and their decisions. So the more they do, the more actions they take, the more they determine the environment and the setting around them, the less the DM is dictating that to them. So we're avoiding that unintentional railroad in in a lot of aspects. So that is a very nice and nifty. Yes, can you get yes, Mama? But you're literally right in my face. You're not helping me. The next thing is that they put in about 7 or 8 pages of very very good art. This is top notch anime style or Western style cartoon art. And I know for personal experiences how much effort and work goes into creating these and how much talent and time it takes to get to this level of artist's work. And my hat's off to the artist that created this. In part, it's supposed to be a learning tool for new players to be able to walk through this and see basically the combat scenario for the game. And one thing to note, the combat in this game can be pretty lethal from what I see of it. And granted, I haven't played it and I haven't studied the limited mechanics that are in here because I just haven't. Yes, Mom. Doing? Yeah, you're literally trying. You can't get up. What are you doing? Or you're nuts. She's literally trying to stick her. Yes. What are you doing? Okay. Yeah. Well, don't get all froggy on me. You don't want to come over here, not the other way around. See, she's sensitive. So she's got some parts back here that she really don't like people messing with. And it's taken us a long time just to get to this level of being able to do this. And I think it's like a Pandora's box. Once we got her open, man, she just, you can see, she just wants attention. And then she wants to stay in the art room all day by herself. Try to take her out and she won't have it. She's not wanted. So let's look at the Seven Truths of the Dark Age in Ungland, a simpler time without stone castles or plate mail, small wars, petty kings, belief in magic and miracles, fens and forest, ancient roads and ruins, Christianity versus the old ways. Words have power, but few can write. A greater age now lost, yet still remembered. That brings up another point that I noticed early on in this game, that there are a lot of Christian undertones. And I know in passing, I'd like to consider him a friend. I'm on that verge. I don't know what his opinion is anyway, but I understand him better because him and I share a lot of common ground. Anyhow, there is a lot of bad views in Christianity on RPGs in general. It's come a long way since the 80s, I guarantee it. As of having firsthand experienced the satanic panic, I guarantee you it was not a good time. The So there's always been this attempt by Christian people to create a RPG for Christian people, and they've never been very successful at it. For starters, they tend to go overboard with it. They use the it's a Bible game. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're chasing Bible verses and stuff, and the few that I've seen, that's why they don't do well, and they're not received well. Because there's certain elements of role playing games that kind of are consistent, and they ought to be, if you can't cater to them, then your game's not going to do well, at least not in America. I can't speak for elsewhere, but I just know our Christians are pretty bloodthirsty people when they really get down to it. And, I'm just saying, and I grew up with a Pentecostal church, so if you guys got a problem with that, sit and spin and kick rocks. I have my religion, you have yours, I have my beliefs, you have yours, and you're entitled to them. And I'm not going to sit here and preach to anybody else about what their personal preferences are, their sexual orientations are, what they do in their own damn home. It's none of my effing business. And frankly, it's none of your effing business either. Thank you very much. That's your community statement or your community service quote from the Fat Man for the day. Anyway, if you're a Christian or you're looking for a game that would be more likely to attract some Christian friends that want to play a role playing game but are leery of playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they can't see themselves playing Star Wars because that's most of my Christian friends who hook on Star Wars and stick their noses up if anything reeking of deities and I'm just the dogma. Anyway, so this would be in that kind of a category, not a Christian based, but it has a Christian undertone. And it's simple, pretty easy. So then we get into the character creation, if Mama will let me get to it. And we're looking at, once again, keeping things simple. So players can create a character by distributing 3 repute points among the 5 following attributes listed below: body, mind, spirit, prestige, and luck. These attributes can be a -1 to a 4, but players can only allot a max of 3 points to any one attribute at a character creation. Characters can earn more repute points during the sessions. A total of a character's attribute points reflect their current repute. Thus, the repute is an indicator of a character's overall experience gained during play and how well the character succeeds at becoming a legend. A character can begin with a -1 attribute, presenting a character drawback. Assigning a drawback allows a player to add a point to another attribute. Explain a character drawback in character notes. Drawn a Brudge has a club foot as an example. The presenter then should ask all players to explain how their characters have earned their current 3 repute points. A simple shared narrative binding the characters to each other and the Dredgewater village. Key point: the setting is fixed for you. The creation, that is the one thing that they did. They definitely railroaded you. They put the conductor in place for you too. So you're very limited in the area that you can play. If you want to play outside the Deepwater Village and the surrounding environments, it's 100% on you and your players to create that world, to expand that world, because it doesn't go beyond this very narrow realm. And that's kind of the point I was getting at earlier about being simplistic and being, and I mean by simplistic, but being rules light, game light. The less mechanics in there, the less stuff they got to deal with, the more that they're going to go and they're going to, or the less stuff you got to cope with. So that's how we're dealing with. So we talk about the attributes. A descriptor differentiates the values of each attribute. -1 being poor, 0 being fair, +1 average, +2 good, +3 excellent, and +4 extraordinary. Then you have the body. Add this value to all die rolls concerning physical attacks, including combat, which is not unlock my physical attribute in my would-be game, Stellar Frontiers. That's where it's physical. I call it PAT for short, of course, and everybody, everybody's got stuff. There's one of my game books. And then we have mind, and then mind would be mental attribute. So in this case, the mind attribute. Add this value to all die rolls concerning intellectual traits, including arcane magic. Spirit. Now, I don't know that I have anything related to spirit, but spirit attribute add this value to all die rolls concerning spiritual traits, including divine magic. Prestige. Add this value to all die rolls concerning status, including negotiations. So I have sat. Originally, I called it a seduction attribute, but I've changed it to social attribute. Trying to, I don't know. It sounds social. It's still sat, but social sounds better than seduction for some people. Then we have the luck attribute. Add this value to all die rolls concerning chance more than skill or ability, including gambling. I don't think I have a luck. You don't get any luck in my game. You make your own. Anyway, derived rating. Yes, Mom, you're not helping. You know that, right? You're being a pain in the butt. To use the formula provided to determine the value of each entry. So purse rating is 1 plus prestige. So add this value to all die rolls concerning barter and negotiation for goods, services, ransoms, treaties involving wealth, or exchange of values. The rating range is 0 to 6 maximum. Inventory rating 4 plus body sets the maximum number of items a character may physically carry. Now this is interesting because there's been some concept talk about, yes, Mama, what are you doing? Yes. She just keeps plowing her head into my face. You, that's my mouth you're trying to stick your nose in. Yes, yes. What? You're something else. Now don't poop on me. She's known to do that too. You rub her too much and she gets excited. Next thing you know, she's pooping. It's just weird. Anyhow, like you needed to know that, right? Sorry, Dell. I'm sure you didn't want to hear that. The Yes. So one of the concepts that come up in a number of other podcast YouTube channels I've been having. Don't fall off. Damn, getting too excited here. The idea of many of the base rules in big crunchy systems that get dropped, and one of them is encumbrance. Part of encumbrance is notating how much space, how much gear an average individual can carry. So the idea being is it's sped up to limit you to not having too much stuff. So if you've all played long enough, you've always had that one guy that wants to carry 10, 15 frickin' swords tucked away in his belt for some reason or in his backpack, where his bag of holding's got enough stuff to fill a warehouse in it. Because everybody has to have a bag of holding so we can carry an almost unlimited amount of stuff. All right. So the realities is we want to have some built-in limitations to this, where we have a decision on how much equipment we can carry, and that's how encumbrance in some ways came about, right? So his is an interesting system take on how to deal with encumbrance. Mama, can you get off of the cam? Thank you. And then we have conditions reflect current physical conditions the character is in and escalate in orders with each wound or from the effects of staying place, such as suffering, wounds, damage, illness, poison. Reduce conditions in the same order as gain. There are 5 conditions: fatigued, battered, injured, dying, and dead. Characters active in play. Okay, so this is how they deal with hit points in the game, which is fine. I there's a lot of discussion too on whether or not hit points is actually a good system to use for dealing or to account for damage and for suffering damage. There's It's been traditionally in the system since D&D came up with it, but a lot of game systems since have tried to find other methods to deal with this portion of the game itself. In my case, in my game, I realized that I wanted living beings to be extremely fragile. So I give them body points, and their body points are extremely low. They really do not have much in a way. Most weapons will kill you outright. You get hit by a severe, it's like the modern age. You get hit by a machine gun at close range, you are likely not to live through the experience. So, why should you have 400 hit points? You shouldn't have more. You should have 4 or 3. And then what the system for my goal is the armor and damage reduction. So you find means and methods of technology, equipment, a better grade equipment, so on, to reduce damage in the first place and reduce the amount of damage being delivered. And of course, I'm dealing in my game with 3 scales. You're only dealing 1 scale in here. I got a personal scale, vehicle scale, and then a starship grade or naval scale because of the size of the weapons and stuff. So we have fatigue, battered, injured, and dying. The character is still in the fight, but dying is bleeding out or suffering a mortal wound. This condition is very dangerous as any more punishment leads to instant death. A dying character needs immediate treatment. There must be rest or curing, and this condition cannot be reversed in the same session. So once you get damaged in this game, you're damaged until the current session's over. So you don't get to just pop a bottle of healing potion and or have the group's cleric run a prayer on you to save your ass. Excuse my French, to save you. You're going to have to deal with a little bit more lethality going on. And it says dead. The character succumbed to all wounds and conditions is now dead. Right. So we move on to items and equipment, quality bonuses. We're not going to get into too much with that, I don't think. Common trades, livestock, timber, crop, wolfhounds, etc., etc. What did you do before you became the adventurer? And then choose a profession. The players have an option to select a profession for their character and change the trip rating, add items to character sheet. So these are what would be considered classes. And you have a choice. So you can be an unclassed character. That means you're a jack of all trades or you mastered whatever it is you choose to master. And what the hell is that doing? You know, I hate it when stuff just automatically decides it wants to do stuff when you're doing something else. I did not tell it to do that. Did not want it to do that. I didn't even know why it's doing that. Stop. Stop. Go away. Stop. Go away. Jesus, I hate that. I hate that with a frickin' passion. I sit there and we do the best we can, and sometimes it's just a pain in the ass, right? It just see, it's like everything else. Where did all else go? This trying to learn this stuff, and then it's popping around. And how about stay up here where I can find you, huh? Jeez. Yeah. See, I don't even see. Was that the stop or the pause? The control I had up here now has disappeared because it's hidden behind who knows what, who knows where, and I got two. Why do I got two screens even running? I don't see. This just cheeses me off. I don't know what's going on. There should not be two of these, and I don't want to start a second one, and I don't dare just clip one off because this half hour into this damn thing already. You can see I just don't have patience for this stuff. I just want something to work. I want to sit down, I want to turn it on, I want to do my damn thing, and then shut it off, and then upload it for you guys, and not have to play Mother May I do all this stuff. It's just too much of a pain. Yes, Mama, can you go somewhere else, please? Yes. Can you not? Uh, no, you can't. Okay, but you can't. There, you go on, get up there. That's better. I'm not going to have you sitting there like that doing that. You're just knocking stuff off the table. So we have the scholar, the soldier, the priest, the scholar, the noble, a merchant, an outlaw, freeman, and then we have a custom, then distinction, gentry, royalty, family, or deeds and discipline, medicine, architecture, administration, politics, education, basically history, England, rituals, theology, and Roman culture. Typical professions, prestige 0 to 2, and they list a few things in there. Then we get into playing Dark Age of Man. Role playing, the DAoM, is a live narrative conversation between the presentor, excuse me, and the players. Narration occurs as moments, not rounds or turns. We exchange characters. Players describe the character actions. No, we exchange these moments back and forth between the presenter and the player characters. Players describe the character actions and intentions as the presenter, and the other player characters respond naturally. I walk slowly through Dredgewater, observing everything. So the presenter, you cross the drawbridge, etc. To give you an example how that works. Actions as tasks. Every action is a task: to attack in combat, to defend in combat, to heal a friend, pray to a god, to barter with a traveler, jump from a horse in a chase. All are considered actions. Task difficulty value, the task roll, who goes first, time and movement, who rolls the dice, combat tasks. All right. Who goes first? In Dark Age of Man, all players should naturally share the narrative conversation. Therefore, the player who takes the initiative has initiative unless the presenter states otherwise. Any player character or presenter who has the initiative or can have the initiative as non-player characters and monsters and scenes transpire naturally. Right? Who rolls the dice? Player characters make all task rolls when the presenter assigns a value. All right, so task roll are difficulty value modifications, wounds of power, critical task rolls, character advancement. And I wrote a note here to remind myself after I read this the second time. The presenter awards the repute points for various reasons when characters do deeds that are substantial and impact those who witness them. Player may spend the repute points adding to any attribute immediately, but only 2 attributes may be as high as 4. A character's max repute of all attribute is 10. So at the end of the day, reputes have a max out point. So you don't have an unlimited evolution of character advancement in this game. It's just like you don't have a open sandbox in the aspect that the open world is at your fingertips, because its book doesn't cover that. It doesn't have anything for you to work with, or very little to work with. It's not its intention. It's just so the same with the points. The points are designed to limit you at some and reason. I assume in reasonable ways. The game has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This actually has an ending to it. It's built into it. If beyond that ending, you're then working from the base rules that you have, and everything else is then open creation. So once again, as I said to one of the creators of the game, one of the authors of the game, that potentially this has room for much expansion. They could expand. They could bring in another set of rules, or yet another mini adventure. You could piggyback off this by having numerous preset adventures like modules, right? And go from there. But if that's not what they want to do, I mean, that's fine. But there are some, and when I talk about it being a minimalist game system, that's the truth. There is limits to what you can do, and one of them is how far you can advance. So we got barter and obligations, NPC mooks and minions. Might find themselves at command of non-playing characters, healing, curing, restoration, and removing of curses. Says prefers no hard and fast rules. However, the best practice for healing a condition are players narrating the treatment and care of the patient. Heal a single condition with the rest and treatment and or prayer or magic. Heal fatigue with a few hours of rest. Reduce matter with healing and rest. Healing, right. So they're trying to minimize this is one of the challenges. I'm not talking specifically the Dark Age of Man. I'm talking about minimalist games in general. Games that are rules light. The lighter the rules, the bigger the challenge. One of those challenges, this is a sort of an example of this. This is also an example of why so many game systems expand and expand and expand to become extremely crunchy, heavy on the rule sets. It's because what they're trying to do in here is cover some areas that they really didn't want to add a whole bunch more pages and mechanics for. They want you to use your brain. It's common sense mechanics. And this is not something that's doable for some players. Now, you all know people that are slow, either willfully on purpose or unintentionally. They don't read well. They don't want to read well. They don't even try to read well, let alone comprehend what they read. So, when you're asking some people to use common sense, you're hoping that the people playing your system has at least some versement, some understanding of how systems work, so they have something to work from. This is probably one of my biggest problems with fourth dimension play, of total immersion of the character, where you have stepped away from the mechanics, period. And when they tell you, oh, that's not what they do, I question this because I don't buy into that. I understand that they try hard to minimize this, in as much as even saying, well, we will do that out of character, off stage, when we're not playing. So when mechanic rules come up and I need a judgment call on whether I think I can achieve something or not, in fourth dimensional play, you cannot ask. It goes against the tenet that we've established that we're not asking about these sort of things in game. Which then means I either make notes and then come back after the game to get a judgment ruling to decide whether or not something could have, should have, would have. You see my struggle with that? Now, if you're okay with not worrying about that stuff, then you're into a story. You're in a storyline philosophy on gameplay, and I love storylines 110%. Once again, it gets a lot of bad rap too because people don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time. And that's the way it goes. I mean, I expected that, and I don't expect it any less from anybody else. Death, killing, and sparking alive. So the presentor's rules. Presentor presents the game, the setting, the people, the monsters, and the presenter educates and facilitates the session game rules. In Dark Age of Man, the presenter has a special responsibility to make random seed charts before the session and roll and present these events from the random seed charts during a session. So you set the difficulty value, pass or fail, be naive. The Dark Age of Man asks the presenter to be naive of all outcomes and events prior to the session. Presenters should know the setting details and use the random seed charts to create progress through the organic world. Presenters should not decide how their players solve issues. Well, that goes without saying. Traditionally, in most tabletop role-playing games, that is how it works. Whoever's presenting, whether you call it a dungeon master, a game master, a storyteller, now a presenter, the list you just keep finding all more and more attempts to find another list of stuff to add to it. Yet a common term that everybody accepts: game master. Just leave it at a damn game master and go forward because come on, right? Come on. It's just, we're all adults here. We all use the common sense. At least we're supposed to anyway. So, ideally here, the presenter sits back and allows the players to drive the game. The players' decisions and actions are what motivates and pushes the game forward. The presenter is just to give them something to work with, to interact as NPCs, as monsters, as describe settings and environments, but at no circumstance, no attempt should be made by the presenter to prompt players to do something or not do something. As you come through, as you leave the woods, your pathway is blocked by a raging river that's maybe 30 feet wide. That's it. That's how far as a presenter should go, and then wait for the players to decide what, where, why, and how. All right, which is traditional in most role-playing games, and today it's a really big put. I really find that the more the players invest in the game, the more that they'll want to keep investing and coming back, make a task roll. So preparation. The presenter should use the provided start location of Dredgewater and the world setting of Unglan as to base their sessions. Then set the characters into motion with a simple idea, problem, or goal. Roll the session's first seed and present the scene. Presenters should be familiarize oneself with the character's narrative, shared narrative that binds the characters together and the Dredgewater village. Go back to that. Make another note. It's not an open sandbox. This is a fixed, predetermined location. You have a fixed sandbox here. The sandbox is constructed for you, railroad and everything. Constructing a session. Adventure flow, setup, incite, incident, major dilemma, minor dilemma, how to earn repute. And then we come down here. Based on the character advancement, repute has a ceiling. Yeah, I already covered that already. So it comes up more than once that there's an issue, right? Then we have random seed chart generation using a 3d6. 3d6 chart number 3 to 18 generate per session is essential for tool. So this gives you an example of a seed chart. What they are suggesting is you do is prior to each session as the presenter to create a new random seed chart that would ideally interact with the setting as the setting has progressed to this point. Following the presenter rules set up back here in a couple pages ago, technically speaking, it's a wish list. because you can create this random seed, and then you're supposed to roll and then present it to the players for their interaction and interpretation or whatever. But you're not going to know what it is you're trying to set up. So if you set up random stuff that doesn't, you have to try hard to set up this next seed chart so it sounds like it's going to work for you. It's one of those things that I thought, once again, if you're an experienced player, you're going to do well with this. If you are brand new to the system, this is going to confuse the bejesus out of you. Or maybe it won't. Maybe you will get lucky since you don't have any other references, and this is the only way you'll do it. So then we go into here, and right off the bat, when I was reading, I'm going through this, and I said, "Who? Who?" You got to go way in the back of the book to find out who that person is. It's kind of jarring a little bit. Reinforces the fixed location as an open sandbox concept, a sandbox with an actual box. They put you a box here. It's up to you to break the box walls and expand them. Game flow. Presenters should look for an organic and natural way to introduce a random seed to a playing and then roll it. So you come out of the outhouse and find 5 bandits sitting there waiting in line to get in there. And what are you going to do? All right. Free form play. Jason's rule of thumb. The chart is how and why the presenter can be naive. The random seed is how the presenter gets to be the player in the session. Keep the information coming for you, the presenter, because as a naive narrator, it can further aid you in what and how to engage the player's action next. Have a seat as a hint to what is actually happening around the character world, in the world, and is often, something, Jason? It's hard when you have an idea in your head that makes sense to you in your head. It is hard to put it in writing so it makes sense in writing to other people's heads. I know this, once again, because I have been working on my own crap for a damn decade plus. Just saying. I get it. It's still confusing, Jason. It doesn't necessarily convey what you want them to convey. At the end of the day, it's there because I know what you're trying to say here, or at least I suspect I know. But people who don't know may not know and get confused by it. Anyway, let go of the reins. Presenters should have fun. Be a player too. Prepare less. Use the task roll. Let the players lead the way to find out for themselves, and always roll a new random seed to interject into the session as needed while the characters adventure. Right? So the idea being is that every session should have something randomly new for the session. And in order to prevent the presenter from railroading the players, the idea is to create this chart, create a new chart, keep creating more charts, create lots and lots of charts. Y'all got lazy, Dell, Jason. I'm just saying. I get you. I understand where you're heading for. I appreciate it. I know 100% of this. Probably 30%, 40% of my would-be game over here is bloody charts. And they're hard. Coming up with all kinds of ideas and stuff, and it's really hard. And then you really want they want the presenter to customize something to make it their own. This is where you invite them to create that, but you don't tell them that. And nowhere in here are you explaining to the presenter why they want to create random seed charts. And more importantly, you're not explaining to them how to expand on what you have here. There's no explanation here to explain that. So somebody who does not understand this, we're going to struggle with this. All right? I'm just pointing out the obvious. People who understand how the concept works, they get it. If they play it verbatim just the way the book's laid out, then they will never make another damn seed chart. They will always roll off of this one, and it will be wrong because it says in here that you strongly want them to make more charts. So perhaps, just perhaps, the presenter should not be making these charts. Perhaps the players and the presenter together, or the players should come up with a dozen random or 18 random possible scenarios, that could happen the next session. and be realistically within the session of what they're doing, and not some crazy an alien invasion force shows up and tries to take over all the dragons or something. That would, you get what I'm getting, right? A word about chronicles and campaigns. Let it go there. So running a series of sessions as chronicles and campaigns, keep in mind what has previous sessions and count for the current achievements. Try to keep sessions in context with the passage of time, such as seasons, weeks, months, even years. All right. Think big campaigns and passage of time between sessions, and think focus when preparing for session chronicles. Remember, any series of sessions concerning the same character will create a chronicle, blah, blah. Yeah, you get the idea. Then we get into the land of Dredge. Landowner, Lord Wisley, the sober washborn, Dredge Town. The land of Dredge and the village of Dredgewater are where the characters will start their careers. In the west of England is Dredge, a region of lowland swamps broken up by sparse, rocky, undulating hills, with this land bordered by the river Dredge. To its east, a few scattered settlements make it meager living when called upon, blah, blah, blah. So we get Dredge Town, the Dredgewater, the surrounding area, the village proper, prominent residents of Dredgewater. We get a nice little drawing, 3D drawing map of the town, and then the area, of course. And hello, England, dude. That's Dublin. Yeah, it's not hard. You get it. And why I make that up? Why did I bring that comment up? I didn't do it to be derogatory or point out or point fingers or anything. This is a tool to understand if you want to play this game beyond your limited area that's presented to you. Having that pre-knowledge is going to allow you to grab an actual map of England and Ireland, for example, and the surrounding areas, and taking the vibe of what you feel here and flush into it. And based on one rough comment about Romans, I suspect one might argue that if you want to make a presentation of a timeline, this probably takes place circa the Hadrian's Wall era of, of England's history in a fantasy, non-historical canon way. So we get into some more information. Here's England, of course, London and Norwich. So you get a couple little locations, so you get the gist of where you can expand from it. Then you get a couple more, a little more outside your box. So they're trying to give it, but truth is, there's not a lot. And then the Sea Kingdom. So we got something that runs basically a knockoff on the Vikings or their version of the Vikings, and say knockoff. So session setups, harvest time, random seed chart for the harvest time. See, this is what I'm talking about. So we had a chart up front, but it's telling you, oh, you should make more of your own charts. And we get another little chart in the back. This is the slippery slope. This is how it gets started. I don't have a 30% of I got 1,000 damn pages or damn close in between all three of my books, and 30% of them are freaking charts of lots of options and ideas. And so they grow, is what I'm getting at. You find that one is not enough, two is not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, never enough. Need more, always need more. The longer you play, then they get repetitive and they get boring, and then they keep going back to the same one over and over again. Well, okay, just saying. So we got the key NPC, pre-generated characters. See, this is how I figured out why that one lady's name is on that other seed list, and here it is back here. But up front, they're just names, and you're looking at them like, what is this? I was about to discount it as being confusing until I went back and had to come back twice to hunt down who they were and how they relate to the game. Quarter days, key NPC, guard soldiers, and we get some bestiaries. We got a creature, the beast, sea peoples, random seed chart, key NPC, another creature here, ogres, bandits, highwaymen, outlaws, random seeds, pre-generated characters, the Talbot Hound. So ideally, if you took any one of these, I don't want to call them module generators, because I don't know that that's that would be appropriate, but in a way that it is kind of what it is. So they're giving you the very basics of who, what, why, and where. And from there, then as a presenter, you figure out a way to introduce them to the characters and and let the players figure out what they want to do. And in part, that's what the random seed charts down here achieve. What it leaves you is still with a whole lot of unanswered questions and a whole lot of unanswered information on these potential opposing forces, and that puts us at a disadvantage. You have to, once again, you're rolling on the assumption that whoever's playing the game is skilled enough or knowledgeable enough to understand what it is you're achieving, or your goal is here, at least in my opinion. So it's fine. I mean, I'm just saying it's what it is, the Talbot Hound. So we got our version of modules, and then we get the bestiary monster, their version of a monster manual, I believe. Creature entries, packs and mobs, micro and macro combat, character repute, effect, wounds. Right, so we got treasure hunters, assassins, bandits, ruffians, bear, big cat, bear and a beer cat basically the same. Big cat basically the same. The boar, the bog hag, and swamp beast, so on and so forth. Right? Giant spider, giant serpent, mercenary, Voldemort, Mort's men, Voldemort, Mort's men, noble warrior, holy warrior, sea peoples, raiders, scholar, priest, etc., etc. Troll, ogre, werewolf, wolf, dog, zombies. Then we get some setting detail. Use the information below sparingly to flesh out your adventures. All right. So this is what I'm talking about for me. You need more of these, and you need more of them, and you need more of them that are expanded, and it doesn't stop. This is how we end up with, because they run out of options. This is why they're saying use this information sparingly so it lasts longer. And if you do use it sparingly, you only roll from this once every couple sessions, then you're probably better off. So basic combat encounter, examples of how to play. I make a comment, a Christian role-playing game. I really truly believe that this could be easily presented and marketed in that light. Although I know from personal experience, or from past experience of would-be Christian games in the role-playing industry, if you actually say that you are a Christian game, you might as well shot yourself in the foot, because it'll turn off half the players right off the bat just because it says what it says. They're going to think it's boring. Once again, they're going to think you're chasing Bible verses in Bible school, and so But truth is, this fits that category. And I can think of a couple people. If I haven't talked to them in decades. Back in the day, I think they would have been receptive to this kind of game. I do, because the way it's presented to them, as that kind of mindset. So basic actions, encounters. Walking you through let's just give you an example how we play this, example how we do this, and we got the glossary, an appendix. Shows you where they got a lot of their concept ideas and thoughts from. They did a lot of homework. I'll tell you that. Then we got a couple of notes of thanks from each other to the other contributor, each other, etc. So this is Dark Age of Man, and once again, I believe it's on RPG Drive Through. I will, if I think about it, I will go look up and see if it is, and list a link to their site there. Uh, it's worth looking into. And if you're really wanting a game that has very minimal rule set, this is in that category without a doubt. If you have relatives who are Christian and are reluctant to engage in playing the horribly terrible Dungeons and Dragons, this potentially is a replacement for them. Just saying. Another possible scenario is, once again, the portability. This is the type of game that just about any of us could lug around quite easily in like I said, in a briefcase, a backpack, your glove compartment, and boom, it's there. And anytime you find yourself in a spot and you're just, trying to kill an hour or two, you can whip this thing out as long as there's some pens and paper. Technically you need some dice, but if you had a deck of cards, you can substitute the deck of cards. And in the end of the day, truth is, you don't need the dice either. If you're truly going for the fourth dimension level of immersion, dice is actually counterintuitive. Man, see that's just it. We talk about never ever rolling a dice ever while you're doing a fourth fully immersion game because you're going to break the immersion of the other people at the table. I'm just saying, don't need the dice. Really, you can get by it. And push come to shove, you can flip it. You know what? Flip a coin. I'm just saying, flip a coin. 50-50. 50-50 we succeeded, 50-50 we didn't. Anyway, I'm Rick. This is your table. Mama's settled down again. I think she's over here by the window now. After she's been pestering me for no end, now I got to figure out how to shut this thing off